I think people's perception of you is completely wrong. And you know it's completely wrong. You know it's not what you want for yourself, and you know it doesn't align with who you are now. And there's so many different variants to why and how. But the people that have already done the healing and the people that have already done the healing will understand that a perception of someone is just the tip of the iceberg. It's whatever you know about them. Their favorite food, the way that they laugh, why they laugh the way that they are, the way that you met them, how you met them, in what part of your life you met them. The people that haven't done the healing feel victim to they kind of fall victim to blame themselves of like, maybe I'm a people pleaser, maybe this is who I am, maybe this is what I am and I'm never going to change, or maybe this is because of this, because of my father. But in reality, people's perception of you is always going to be different. And a lot of the time, when it comes to unrecognizably stupidity, like really, really stupid little minuscule things, they are going to base their perception of you of how much you impact their life, what you do for them, how you do it for them, how people perceive you in that sense. But in reality, it doesn't actually have to do anything about you or to you or for you. It really should not matter, and you should break that chain or break that link. Because I think about it now, there's so many people that have this idea of who I am, of what I want, of what I need. And of course, they're going to keep asking. It could be a friend, a co-worker, whatever. But they're always going to think to themselves, or maybe she's a bit naive. Maybe she's a bit jealous. Maybe she has a bit of envy in her life. Maybe she doesn't know what she's doing. But in reality, those things could be true, but you don't have the right to make that decision about me. You just get to kind of decide your own version of me in your head for whatever source of, entertainment or confinement or just anything I have to do with you, or whatever pleases your story, basically. But I was thinking about this and how much we actually let the world perceive us as this performative soul, like what I like, what I don't like, how I decorate my bedroom. Every single little different thing now is such bullshit. It's all through performative bullshit and creative bullshit and curation and overconsumption. There's so many big words that I'm throwing at you right now, but in reality, no one knows you as well as you know yourself. And even then, you don't know yourself, and you don't know yourself. You are what? In your 20s? Late 20s, teens, it does not matter. You do not know yourself. And recently I've been speaking to so many people about finding themselves. And of course, I've been stuck for a while, not knowing what I'm supposed to be doing next, not knowing what my dreams are. And the truth is, to be vulnerable with you, I could tell you to your face, to you guys listening right here, I don't know what my dreams are. I never knew what my dreams were. So when everyone asks me, oh, what's next? What do you want to do next? I just fuck about and try and find out. Because I don't know. And I'm not scared to admit that I don't know what those things are or what I want. I know I want peace. I know I want cleanliness. I know I want to feel happy and safe. But apart from that, there's nothing I actually want to do. I'm not saying I want to sit on my ass and not do anything, or I want someone else to provide a life for me. I'm just saying I don't understand what I want yet. And that is coming from someone that you could look at me from the outside and go, she's figured it out. She's figured out. She's pretty. She's doing what she wants to do. She finished school. She's doing this weird social media thing, whatever. But as stupid and vain and pathetic as that sounds, trust me, I don't have everything figured out. And I know how many people will be like, I actually don't have anything figured out. But it's true, you don't. You really, really don't. And you're never going to. And then there's going to be a time when you have kids, and then your kids aren't going to understand, and you're not going to understand your kids, and you're going to feel like, wow, maybe actually as like a father, I don't have figured it out because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And I think to myself sometimes, there is so much growth that has come out of my life in the last 2 years of kind of being like second puberty, growing up, being an adult. And I think it all has to come down to letting people's perceptions of me, letting people's ideas and words affect me, Like, yes, I'm still sad. That when I was a kid, they would always say to me, like, you're always sad. You're always, always sad. And we all know why. We all know why. Of course, we all know why. There's something that is not clicking in my brain, and the chemtrails in my brain aren't working, and all this other fucking bullshit. And of course, I'm going to be sad, but I don't make it anyone else's problem. And it's funny because now I understand that part of myself, but they don't. They're never going to understand. So it's still this ongoing joke in their lives. But I'm not a joke in your life. I'm not. I'm not a extension of yourself, and a lot of the time people do see you as that. So do not let anyone's opinions cloud your judgment, cloud your choices, cloud your dreams, because in reality, what do they actually have to show for it? Oh, I'm a great friend. I'm a great friend. Yeah, you are a great friend. Cool. But you're not helping me in this decision. You're not helping me or impacting me in any singular shape or form, but I don't want to throw you out. But for some people, they do. And as soon as you defy them and kind of pick your own life, pick your own choices, they go against you. They start hating on you. They start thinking to themselves, oh, well, you know, she's a bit of a bitch. She's a bit of that. Maybe she's a bit naive. Maybe she's a bit full of herself. But deep down, those words, insults, or even those like glaring looks from across the room, they're not going to matter when you are actually sitting later on in life thinking to yourself, wow, I actually have done this. Or when someone else confides in you and they go, oh, I would love to do this. And you would think to yourself, I'm not going to brag, but I have. These things that seem impossible to this person, this younger person in front of me, I've already done them. I've done them and they were easy, and I wish I could tell this person that it's also going to be easy, but it's not going to work until they find themselves. And as I said recently, I was talking to someone about finding yourself, and I said, you can't really find yourself. I don't think you get to find yourself. I don't think you kind of like when I used to live in Rome, I always thought there was a part of me that like stayed there, or there was a part of me that was meant to be there. But the biggest realization or reality shift happened, and I realized I wasn't meant to be there, and I loved it so much, and all my interests went back to Rome through mythology and art and architecture. All of my interests were there. But when it came to actually finding what my soul needed or what my soul craved, it didn't fulfill it. Not even a little bit. Maybe through friendships, yes. Maybe through my idea of what I would actually want, yes. But I didn't find myself. Not traveling, not moving, not running away. I didn't. Because you can't find something that isn't lost. You just don't know yourself. You don't. That's all it is. You keep trying out new things and trying to run away from certain other opinions or perceptions. But in reality, you could go home, but you're not going to. Because there isn't one. There's just a house. And that house is you. And you haven't found what home is to you yet. If that's art or whimsy or romance or culture, you don't need to find yourself to know who you are at that moment in time. There is not going to be this realization hit of when we were like young girls and we thought to ourselves, oh yeah, this is what my life is going to be. And then we hit 22 and it's nothing like that. And even if we try and fake it, it's nothing like that, because these ideas of these like hot young girls that we were looking up to when we were younger, those weren't even real. They didn't even know what they wanted or who they were. And I think we do such damage to ourselves to keep saying, oh, I'm going to find myself, but you can't. You can't curate yourself. You can't build yourself up but with building blocks of trauma and pain, or even work through the pain. And I know I've said that so many times before. You can make art without pain. You don't need to struggle to find yourself. You don't need to corrupt yourself or isolate yourself to feel loved or to feel what you actually need. You just need to have the want to change. And I feel like after a certain point, we spend the last of our serotonin kind of just chasing this dream and chewing on those old blocks of our lives, these pillars of our lives, of these friends, these old jobs, these ideas of what we would want. And I think that corrupts us even more, because you're so far from it, but you don't want to let go. And there is no point of letting go, because you can reminisce and you can romanticize and you can think to yourself, maybe this is this was my peak. This is who I was at that time, but it's not who I want to be anymore. And I feel like that's recently what I've been struggling with so much. And I don't want to say no one understands me, because of course they do. There's probably someone out here listening right now and they go, I exactly know what you mean, and exactly I know what you're feeling. But like, at this point, I could do whatever I want. I can do whatever I want. I can have whatever I want. I can experience whatever I want. And I have so much privilege to be born in this day and age as the person that I am. And I know that word privilege gets thrown out so much, because it is. We're all privileged. We're all privileged in one minuscule way, but a lot more people are fortunate than others. But what I mean by this is, I have the right to make a decision, no matter, in any singular circumstance. I have the right to make a decision to choose what I want to do, and I get that. But sometimes, the same way there's the fig tree analogy of, the figs were there, she could reach them up, like she could reach for them, but it took her so long to pick the right one, with nerves and curiosity, that those figs rotted and they fell on their own, and she ended up not picking one at all. And therefore, her life was wasted staring at these figs on the ground. And I think that's such a beautiful analogy, but I don't know. I think I just wanted to come on here and basically just say to someone, like, you don't find yourself. You can't find yourself. Because in reality, I think all you do is you go through life factoring or like processing what you don't want. And then it kind of gets to a point where you're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do next, but I know exactly what I don't want. And there's an entire list, maybe more than 10 things of what you don't want. And it's so easy to kind of filter through now what direction you're supposed to be going into. And I think a lot of the time we get shown this idea of what the goal is, like it's a straight road and there's so many like winds and treacherous things that you have to get through. But I think a lot of the time it's more like those mazes at the back of like a restaurant menu for kids when we were kids, and you would do it with a crayon, and there would be so many different lines, and you'd keep messing up because you would keep going back into like on yourself, and you would keep like hitting a wall. But you'd finally make it, and then you got a reward at the end. You got your little treat, you got your little happy meal. But I sometimes think to myself, like, I think to myself all the time, I don't think, what is the next step? What's the right thing to do? I just try everything and mess up so many times that I know for myself deep down that is the right thing to do, because I know exactly what I would never do again. And of course there is this entire like ideology of like, oh, fuck it for the plot, YOLO, like all this like social bullshit. But I think that is the only way I can actually give some advice to someone, and just say, you don't need to fucking find out, but it's so fun to. It's so fun to do everything, and don't feel like you need a safety net to land on, because you don't. And this is coming from someone that chooses to live at home, stay in the job that she's done, and keep doing more things. Like, I know that is a safety net. I do have the privilege of not having to leave my home, even if it isn't the best, or, you know, work a job and then choose to not work a certain day. Of course, I'm not getting paid for it, but it's the choice of like, oh, I can, you know, call off if I want to. I know a lot of people have that option, but a lot of people don't. I'm saying there's so many tiny little privileges that I have in my life, but there's still so many unwanted issues, but there's also so many different decisions to make every single day that mental load just, it feels like the heaviest basket in the world. I don't know. Maybe someone is feeling like this. Maybe someone does feel lost. And the only reason this is coming up, because recently I've been thinking to myself, what is next? I'm so happy. Well, I'm not. But I'm happy and I'm content. I'm content. with my life. I haven't settled at all, and I'm going to keep reaching to little things that I want to do. I may not know that it's a goal, but I know it's something I want to do. The way I want to look, the way I want my health to be, what level of health I have, the relationships I have with people, the constant relationships I have with people, and how I nurture those friendships, how I nurture myself, how I nurture myself in a relationship with people. And I know like these are the building blocks, like, technically, or like the things I should focus on. But there's always going to be this moment in my brain that's like, I look at everyone else in the world and I look at everything that they're doing, and I've actually had to get off my phone. And 20 minutes before I started this, I was lying on my grass in my backyard and just staring at the clouds and watching them move. And I just realized that there's so much more for me out there, but I don't know where to start because I don't want to. Not yet. Not yet. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, I don't want to dive in head first. I want to keep the stability, because that stability is something I never actually had as a kid. It was always keep a bag packed. You don't know where you're going to end up. You don't know when one night you're not going to have a house. And I know that sounds so far-fetched, because it's like, well, no, we saw who you were when you were younger, but it's like, you didn't get it. You never will get it. You're not me. And my point still stands. No one's going to understand you better than yourself. But that stability that I have now is such a beautiful thing, because it's something I never had, and it's my stability, it's my money, it's who I am, and I have feet to land on because they're mine and they're strong. But there's so much more that I want to do. There's so many more people I want to talk to. There's so many more things I want to research. And I think I just get held back a lot because people's opinions, people's choices, or I think most of the time as women, it's never to do with a lack of confidence or the lack of curiosity. I think it has to do with how we're kind of generalized as a group of nurturers and empaths and sympathetic people, and how much we have to take care of the people around us. The heart attack I gave the people around me when I was doing absolute dumb shit when I was a kid, running away, moving across the world, dating whoever I was dating, going into jobs, doing things, getting money from whoever knows where. And I think I'm not scared to lose the stability. I think I'm just scared that people will immediately not trust me to make the right decision because I fucked up so many times before. And that's all I have to say. So thank you for listening, and welcome back to the Messy Girl Hotline.